Hey guys, welcome to the lovely DigiSmiles with Jeff and Christine. Today's the day where we get to show you our little DIY project that everybody's been screaming for. A fantastic fog maker done in a very, very simple way using dry ice. Are you ready for this? Okay. So let's start with the simple items that you need to make a simple fog machine. Go to your hardware store and pick up the following items. We've got a bucket, okay, with a lid. This is your standard 5-gallon bucket. Other hardware stores like Home Depot have these, okay?
And they're like cheap.
Very cheap. Okay, next we've got the hose. So we like to use a hose. You don't have to. As we're going to demonstrate, you can just cut a hole in the side and not use a hose. We like to direct the direction of the fog, so we use a hose. This is something that you cut to length at the hardware store. So you just get someone's help and say, hey, I need this hose cut to about, this is 18 inches. So you can modify the length to your preference. Really doesn't make a big difference.
But longer is better, we've learned, just because with the bucket, you have to actually have it a little bit away from the client, and so if it's too short, you're holding the bucket right behind the client.
Absolutely.
So it's better to have just a little bit of a lengthy hose.
The vital ingredient to all of this is hot water. And we do our fog on location. So first question we get asked is, how do you get hot water on location? Well, we boil it at home, and then we stick it in these fancy little thermos igloos. We have 2 of these.
And we do know that they're not intended for hot water. It even says when you buy it, not intended for hot water.
Correct.
We're not drinking this hot water, so it may break down the plastic and not be good for drinking water, but we're not drinking it. So this is fully for taking on location. And if it leaks, which it hasn't, we've had it for like 2 years.
No.
Okay.
So it's good. So that's how we transport our hot water to location. Sometimes we get desperate. We'll grab anything, small thermoses, a coffee carafe. Really, guys, nothing too fancy. Ideally, we'd love to have a hot water maker on location. So our goal here is to show you how we get hot water to a location. It doesn't have electricity or anything like that. So keep it simple. That's our motto for a lot of things. So next is the bucket, and step 1 is you need to cut a hole in the side of your bucket. So you can go to the store. Here's how this works. There's so many ways to do this, all right? The way that we've chosen is to use a very round drill bit that makes a very nice round clean cut. You can easily get a knife and cut a jagged hole. Precision is not necessary for this part of the process, so keep that in mind. You don't need to keep it perfectly.
But this is super
cut.
easy and quick.
So they sell these bits by themselves, or the store you can buy what we use is, I had to replace a door at some point, so how to install a doorknob. They come with a larger size one of these. So it's just a hole drilling bit. And you'll see in our example today, this drill bit is actually significantly bigger than the hose that we're using. So the remedy for that, the old duct tape. So I will show you in the process now on how we go from scratch with the materials and build our fogger. So first step, Christine, do you want to actually do the honors of drilling?
Sure.
All right. Anywhere on the side there, towards the upper side.
All right.
Should go pretty quick. Go. That's it. All right. So now we've got our nice clean round hole there. And so the hose itself, if I stick it in that hole, it's not going to stay put very easily, okay? So how do we get that? We use the tape, and we're just going to wrap the end of the hose, one end of the hose, with the duct tape. Get a little extra plastic there. I feel like this is some thrilling, tantalizing video right now. Alright, so let's try this and see if that was enough.
Not quite.
Not quite. It's a little looser than what I'd like, so let's add just 1 or 2 more layers of tape. And that should definitely, pun intended, wrap this part up. All right. Here we go. Perfect. So now it's a nice firm grab, and we can actually rotate the hose different directions for preference. Okay? So now we've got our bucket. That's all there is to it. Drilling a hole, sticking a hose in the hole, and
So
making
for all
sure.
the many text messages and emails and Facebook messages and Instagram, all over, all the messages that we get about this, we always kind of chuckle because we're like, okay, just wait. It's so easy. So really anybody can do this.
Okay, so next, let's get some ice and water, okay? So like I said, we have our hot water. Be careful not to, okay, so temperature. Hot water is great, boiling water is really great. The hotter the water, the more reaction you're gonna get with the dry ice. You can get way too much reaction if you put a whole bunch of dry ice in boiling hot water. It'll be close to an explosion, yeah.
And we've had that happen.
Had that happen, it's not fun. It's messy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put all the hot water in the bucket, and volume of hot water I think helps. Sometimes you can have too little. You can't have too much hot water. So yeah.
So this is pretty much 3/4 full.
All right, hot water's there. You can see the steam possibly on this video.
It's going to about right here, right now, right at the under the Lowe's sign.
At the bottom of the Lowe's house. So I think that's all we're going to use for right now. We have more hot water on standby. And we have a second one of these igloo containers.
Because sometimes the dry ice is still in there, and you notice that the amount of fog coming out is dissipating. It's not. I mean, it's not. The amount that's coming out is a lot less. So we'll go ahead and at that point add a lot more hot water.
Dry ice. Use some gloves, because if it does stay in contact with your skin for too long,
it can burn.
It can burn. So I'm gonna do the glove thing.
He doesn't always on location.
Not always, but I also don't hold it for very long either. So, all right. So in our case, our dry ice supplier is our local grocery store. Not all of them have it. They come in different shapes. You can get dry ice in pellets, or you can get them in bricks. We have the brick variety. That's the only thing available to us from our store. So.
But we've tried the pellet variety, and we actually
like it better.
Yeah, it produced even more fog just because I think the surface ratio.
All right, so I have a big block of ice. I don't want to dump the whole thing in there because that would be a waste. So I need to break it up. So Christine, can you hand me my very manly hammer? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Good. So just breaking up into pieces.
And that's something you can do before you get on location.
Absolutely. Rip open the bag. Okay. So at this point, I don't want to put too much because I don't want to overfog our room in here.
But it's going to fog the whole screen.
Once we dump the ice, pretty good reaction. We put the lid on so that we can direct the fog.
Woo!
And we've got lots of fog happening here. And I think that's because of the hot water, okay? So a whole brick of ice in this amount of hot water, you're getting about 6 to 8 minutes of actual shooting time. But the ice, when the ice neutralizes the heat of the water, the fog stops coming, and that happens very quickly. So be ready to shoot once you get your fog rolling.
Yeah.
That, I think.
How we do with fog. Yeah, go ahead and put a little bit more in and see what happens.
I'll put more in?
So right now it's starting to dissipate a little bit. We didn't put a whole lot in there.
So the water's definitely cooled off some. We're going to add more ice.
And we are back to a lot of...
Well, it's not as much as the first time though.
So our kids love this because when we have extra dry ice, they fill up their bathtub, they put it in their drinks. And we've tried experimenting with coloring it.
Ooh, you know what else we do? I mean, like, so I also am going to show them when you take the hose out, it definitely goes, it spreads out.
Which can be great for, depending on what the look that you're wanting. For theater companies, because we work with a lot of theater companies, this is exactly what we want for this stage. We just use it in a much bigger drum, big old trash can.
So since we've added more ice, we're I mean, you can imagine taking several pictures while we're talking, but the fog is rolling. Have an assistant move the bucket around and aim your fog wherever you like it. But I mean, it gives you plenty of time to take a lot of shots as long as you're ready. So
that's how we do our fogger. Message us if you guys have any questions. I don't know if you guys will, but if you do, feel free to message us or comment below.